Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, we're in Cleethorpes for the traditional blessing of the crib.
It's good, it's very, very busy and packets are a bit hectic.
And it's the busiest week of the year for Royal Mail, so we head to the depot in Grimsby. Later, we also hit the streets to find out the meaning of another local word. And Audrey Dunn, a local poet, is with me in the studio to talk about her latest book on love poetry. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm James Dunn, but first it's over to Erica Barker for the News Roundup.
The headlines today. In the future, it could be harder for people in Grimsby and Cleethorpes intending to open a bar under an off-licence get their business off the ground. North East Lincolnshire Council has launched a 5-week consultation. If proposals are approved, it would mean that town centre requests would be rejected if applicants are unable to prove that there would be no contributive impact on crime and public disorder. We spoke to Councillor Hazel Chase.
Go through that information that we've received, see what needs looking at, what the public perceive as being the problem. We can try and act on that and then make, hopefully, our communities safer for our public to go out and enjoy a drink as and when they're required and not in fear of drunk-related incidents resulting in antisocial behaviour.
Hull's UK City of Culture will create 3,000 jobs in the region. That's according to a study carried out by Warwick University. The university's Institute for Employment Research made the prediction using labour market information available online. Firefighters tackled a blaze in Scunthorpe overnight. The fire ripped through 2 bars in Mary Street, causing one roof to collapse. Crews dealt with the incident in the early hours of this morning. There were no casualties. And Siemens is recruiting the first 14 operational staff for Green Ports in Hull, pledging to make the region a global hub for renewables. The energy giant will eventually employ 1,000 people. And Tesco's and its customers in Grimsby have donated over £2,000 worth of toys to a children's centre in the town's East Marsh. Store manager John Cavery and regional representative Kelly Harrison say they've been bowled over by the response.
We asked customers if they would donate a toy, alongside Tesco donating a toy each day as well. And it's been overwhelming really to see the generosity of the local community come together over this sort of festive period. And you know, you can see behind us exactly sort of what Grimsby's done for the East Marsh community. So thank you.
And Scunthorpe MP Nick Dakins says a petition raised by local people objecting to fencing next to Central Park in the town shows a strength of feeling. Presented to Parliament, it had over 1,500 signatures. And that's all from me today. Until next time.
Thank you, Erica. Now next, it's one of the oldest stories known, the one we remember at this time of year. And as we sing our carols and put the star on the top of the tree, it's easy to forget that there was a time we didn't know about how baby Jesus was born. But luckily, there are still traditions that teach children these things. I went to the blessing of the crib in Cleethorpes to find out more. This blessing of the crib has taken place in Cleethorpes for as long as reindeer have flown. But if you've got kids, this won't be the first you've heard about Christmas. And the amount they go on, you'd probably think they'd know everything there is to know about the festive season.
Well, actually, that's not true, really. Children need to learn, like we did, the actual message of Christmas, which is obviously Jesus Christ born for us in Bethlehem, born for each one of us, that we might know God and know Him.
And just like Christianity, the crib itself travelled here from Jerusalem.
We visited Bethlehem in about 1990, and it was a pilgrimage actually with the Nottingham Diocese, and we did see this beautiful crib, and we thought it would be lovely to take that back.
This year, for the first time, it's being housed in the window of the Salvation Army shop. It serves as a reminder of what Christmas is truly about.
So to be able to have the crib in the shop window is really just saying, you know, shops are important, but equally it's good that people recognise that this is a time of Christmas. It's the time when we celebrate the coming of the Christ child.
So bless this crib in the name of the Father, Son and Holy Spirit.
But has the message really got through all those thick woolly hats? What is Christmas about?
Jesus' birthday. The birth of Jesus.
Anything else? Nothing else.
When Gabriel went and said to Mary, "You're going to have a special baby boy." That we get presents.
You're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, it's back on the streets to discover another phrase in What You Say. Richard Morris will bring you the sports news.
It's good, it's very, very busy and packets are a bit hectic.
And we visit the delivery office in Grimsby. And we head to Hull to find out about the demand for old Dutch bikes. My next guest will be no stranger to Estuary viewers, for she appears in a programme called Humberlands, which saw people read out their poems about the estuary. Following the success of Humberlands, Audrey Dunn has just released another book called Sealed with a Loving Kiss, and she joins me in the studio today. Hello there, Audrey.
Hello, James.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure.
So tell me a little bit about your new book to start off with.
Well, as with my first book, I have based these books on an idea I found that Dylan Thomas had done, and a lot of poets do produce pamphlets. And so I took it on as a project.
Because, of course, the Humberlands that we talked about just briefly there, that was another pamphlet that you did. That was your first?
That was my first one, and I'm going to do 5, leading up to 2017 and the whole City of Culture. Because 5 is a good number, yes. And why not do 5? And
fits
then
in
I've
perfectly
done
between now and 2017 as well.
It does, and this one isn't so local as the first one. I wanted to, with the first book, I wanted people to see how beautiful this part of the world is, how remote and beautiful, and the plains we have over the other side of the river, the Holderness, plains of Holderness, and this side, of course, much the same, that slightly lost landscape.
Which are all beautiful places, and I suppose that it's only fitting that it's first in a series running towards 2017, because
yes.
What that is supposedly all about is showing the world what a fantastic place we live in.
Yes, and I think in a way it is a fantastic place. We don't want the whole world coming in and masses of tourists, because the remoteness is a very, very beautiful part of it, very unusual.
And the Humberlands Festival, of course, which was people reading poetry
yes.
all around this area.
Yes, yes, I wasn't part of that, but I have, through that book, got to know the Grimsby poets, you know, it's lovely work that's coming up. A lot of people write poetry. Do you write poetry, James?
Well, I have been known to turn a pen to paper.
And especially when they're in love, you see. You know, love makes you feel that urge to express yourself in poetry. I don't know why that is so much, but because it's such a fantastic thing when you fall in love. The whole world changes, doesn't it?
Source of all great art, isn't it, really? Music, art.
It really is, isn't it? And, you know, they say it makes the world go round, and I like to think that love will find a way, given the opportunity.
So tell me a little bit more about this book that you've got coming out, which is
yes.
Sealed with a Loving Kiss.
Yes.
But it's not just romantic love, is it?
No, no. I've got a poem in there for my mother, who died when I was 10, and how memory can stay with you. You know that something that happened in your childhood that had a particular atmosphere, where maybe you felt particularly loved. Proust had an aunt, the writer Proust, French, he had an aunt who had a room in their Paris suburban house, a tall house, I imagine, and she had an upstairs room, and she made herb teas. In French they call them tisanes, and when he was a young lad, and he went to her room and she would make him tea and almond tarts. And every time he smelled herb teas, when he was even an old man, I don't know how long he lived, but he was back in his aunt's room. So she must have loved him, you see, I reckon, and he felt nice and comfortable there.
So we've got the love of your mother.
Yes.
Who else? What other kinds of love are in the book?
Well, there is romantic love and lost love, of course, because we all go through phases where we meet somebody and it doesn't work out, but it seems heavenly. It seems like a glimpse of heaven, and it changes your whole attitude. You even see the world differently when you're in romantic love in that. It's not always the kind of love that lasts. Sometimes it's a more kindly, domesticated love that is the sort that makes the world go round. Yes, U.A. Fanthorpe's got a lovely poem about the homely things that you do for each other, the kindnesses, you know, and the commonality of it all, which is wonderful.
And I was looking through the poems, and there was another kind of love that I particularly liked, and I wanted you to talk a little bit more about it, but one of the poems in there is called To My Dying Cat.
Yes, To My Dying Tomcat. And yes, this was a rescue cat. Well, there's a funny story because I didn't know he was a tomcat at first, and I had him for many years before I took him to the vet and found he wasn't. We called the cat Abigail. And really we had to change the name because it wasn't a she-cat, it was a tomcat. But when I took it in, a black and white cat, it looked pregnant because it was half-starved. The kittens never appeared, but its stomach was swollen. And I thought it must, I didn't know much about cats.
Well, we could talk a lot more about that tomcat, but I suppose the best thing to do would be to ask you to read the poem, please, Audrey.
I had my cat for 16 years, and then he died, and I have a study in my room where I light a fire. It gives me a romantic feel when I light a fire. And so this is called To My Dying Tomcat. The fire is lit. We are together as always. Things are as they were on our good days, our perfect me and my cat days, our trees in early leaf, trusting ourselves, knowing new things by the budful, kindnesses given and received, shared visions, epiphanies, ecstasies of fur, dreams, nobilities, human sighs and cat's whisker talk. Now he is resting, wide on the rug, and still as a mouse, eternity still. And he holds me, safe in his stillness, his eyes on my face.
Oh, that was captivating, Audrey. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Tell me, we're running out of time, I'm afraid, but where can people get this book and others?
You can get it at Waterstones in Hull. They are my chief stockists, and they're very good to local writers. If anybody's writing locally, do go and see them because they're very good there. And I'm very much for local and regional writing. And if you want it from...
Is there anywhere else? I'm sorry, we're running out of time.
Yeah. Waterstones in Grimsby would get it for you.
Brilliant. Audrey, thank you very much for your time and thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
One of the biggest focuses of London 2012 was legacy, and after the phenomenal success of the Team GB cyclists, the sport really has started to take over the nation. We have the famous Boris bikes in the capital, and now a company in Hull is bringing Dutch bikes to the city of culture. Dave Nunn went along for the ride.
Hull-based company Nice Dutch Bikes is encouraging people to start a new biking trend in Hull.
What it is, we work with a charity over in Holland who refurbish the cycles, and we can bring them over into the UK to sell. We can send them worldwide, and it just brings a smile to everyone's faces, producing cheaper Dutch bikes that everyone can use.
Nice Dutch Bikes started in August this year and was inspired by both a charity trip and the ever-increasing popularity of cycling.
It came about after a trip to Holland. We were recycling bikes for a charity in Kenya. When we got there, they had 17,000 bikes in a compound, and most of them were going to the landfill. we came across the idea of, well, we'd better recycle these ones, and we made it a good idea to recycle them and reuse them.
The popularity of these bikes in Hull has been somewhat of a surprise. One aspect is the price, since these bikes cost around £150 rather than €700 brand new. This is the foundation of the company's growing popularity in Hull.
Well, first batch that's come in, 25 have arrived, we've allocated 22 already, and the next 100 are already en route. There's that many people that love the idea of a Dutch bike, just so simple, so easy to use, so easy to ride. We're going to go from students right the way up to senior citizens.
So, with more bikes coming in and the business expanding, it seems like Nice Dutch Bikes is pedalling into a good 2015.
Now next, it's that time of year when we're all frantically trying to get those last-minute presents for loved ones, and these days most of us have ordered at least some of them online. So whether it's gifts or greeting cards, you're not going to get them without the help of your local postie. We took a visit to Grimsby's delivery office to see how they're getting on. Lapland is probably the busiest place on earth right now, but a close second is probably your local sorting office, where they're pulling out all the stops to get your cards and parcels to you on time.
Coping with the volume at the minute is everybody working together as a team, really. We do put extra hours into the delivery office. We put open nights up through this 3 weeks of the year to come in to clear the parcel volume, to be honest, really.
The office here in Grimsby is a well-oiled machine that impressed the local mayor when he visited this week.
It's everything you would have imagined it to be. There's people running around, almost like drones, I suspect, but absolutely everybody knows exactly what they're doing, and I just think it's such a complex operation, but efficient at the same time. I'm really impressed.
And it's an industry adapting to huge change. Royal Mail was privatised earlier this year and is facing more competition than ever before. But the biggest change is probably the rise of online shopping extravaganzas like Cyber Monday.
It didn't really hit us till probably about the Tuesday or the Wednesday what came through into the office, but probably on that day we dealt with around about 25,000 parcels on one day, packets and parcels that is. We're averaging probably in Grimsby now, it's an average probably around about 140,000 items a day. The parcel volume at the minute we're dealing with around about 90,000 parcels a week coming through the delivery office, and we have managed to clear every day so far.
But no matter what happens, rest assured that your local posties will do all they can to make sure they always deliver.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of self-pride in there. You know, customers want it, you order things online yourself and you want them as soon as you can, especially this time of year. You know, not a lot of people like not receiving goods and cards on time and things like that, and it's just part of the job that's built into us that let's clear out every day and get everything delivered as we can.
Now last week we asked you whether you knew what quirky meant, and I'm pleased to say many of you did know. This week in What You Say, Dan Kemp has been out on the streets of Hull and Grimsby to find out if you know the meaning of another local phrase.
Ready? Yeah. Action!
Bit strange, odd.
A little bit different, strange, unusual.
Eccentric, style, different.
Jolly, silly.
Off the wall, bit not normal.
That sort of thing, happy.
Oh, well, bit funny.
Bit odd. A bit odd.
Unusual.
A bit odd. Different.
Odd. A bit different to the norm.
Funny. Unusual.
Strange, funny.
Bit of a laugh, bit off the shoulder, a little bit quick, a little bit wee, a little bit woo.
What do you reckon, Mum?
Yeah.
If someone's a bit quirky.
Sorry?
If someone's a bit quirky.
Never heard of that, Mum.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, apparently it means
I know I've heard of quirky, but not in connection with Grimsby.
A bit odd, different.
Odd.
As you probably noticed, actually, this week was quirky. It was a little bit easier, I think. Now, here's the sport with Richard Morris.
North Ferriby beat Boston United 2-0 in the FA Trophy replay on Tuesday night. North Ferriby will now play Hyde from the Conference North. Hull FC have announced they've extended their dual registration agreement with Doncaster Rugby League for a further 12 months. Last year saw players like Chris Green benefit from the arrangement that meant he featured for the Kingstone Press Championship side mid-season before returning to the Black and Whites for the end of the campaign. The deal also sees ex-FC Challenge Cup winner and current Doncaster player coach Paul Cook continue his association with the KC Stadium outfit, as he'll be able to loan some of Hull's youngest and best talent. It's the Hull Rugby Union derby on Saturday, and for Hull RUFC it promises to be the toughest game of a difficult season. The side sit in the bottom two of National League 2 North, whilst opponents Hull Ionians top the league. The club would love to see an upset, but appreciate it would be an incredible turn-up for the Bucks. We'll hear from the Eyes camp in tomorrow's show. Appleby Frodingham Cricket Club has announced they'll still compete in the Yorkshire League with the competition in its current format, but will review it going into 2016. The 13 teams currently participating will be split into 4 separate Premier Leagues, culminating in an end-of-season playoff to determine who will be crowned champions. The Scunthorpe outfit will compete in the South Yorkshire Premier League alongside Cleethorpes, Doncaster and Barnsley. And don't forget tonight that Scunthorpe United are playing Worcester away in the FA Cup replay. That's all for the sport.
Well, I'm afraid that is actually all we've got time for in today's show. But don't forget that if you've got a story and want to tell our news team about it, you can get in touch in the usual ways. You can contact us through email, that's news@estuary.tv. You can get in touch via social media, just search for Estuary TV on Twitter or Facebook, or you can pick up the phone and call us on 01472 31553. Thanks to our guest today. Thank you to Audrey for a story about the poetry. I hope it goes well, and you can also get that on Amazon. That's all for today, so we'll see you next time.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Cloudy and mild again on Thursday with outbreaks of rain at times throughout the day. Staying breezy though with winds stronger than Wednesday, maximum temperature of 13 degrees. On Friday it's turning colder and very windy with scattered showers with maximum temperatures of 7 degrees.